Good morning, Insurance Syndicate Group. It is July 11th. It is 2:30 a.m. And here is episode 2 of Ask the Experts, where I'm going to be your host, David Williams, and we have our co-host, Mr. Andy Arter. And our goal on Ask the Experts is trying to bring in some of the best industry experts. Some you may be familiar with. Some may be some absolute gangsters that you haven't heard of yet. And I think that's what we have on the call today is Mr. Nick Lauer and Nick Cavuto. Funny story. I know a lot of you guys know my Circuit City story, my come up story, getting into insurance and scaling multiple 7-8 figure brands. Mr. Nick and I used to work together back at Circuit City, and he worked with me in the electronics department, and we both grew our way up. And then Nick went on to do some incredible things. He is now partnered with Nick Lauer and The Adley, one of the biggest social media influencers online with over, I think, 5 billion views. I could be understating that. And she has about 10 million Facebook followers, far more on many platforms. They've actually came together, taking the wisdom of brand building, taking the wisdom of getting just so ninja when it comes to ad strategy on Facebook, and taking some unique marketing tactics that have allowed them to explode their own corporate brands and personal brands, and they are bringing that information to you. So I am excited to announce we got Mr. Nick Lauer and Nick Cavuto. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
All right, Dave. Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it a ton.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, awesome. Well, what we do here on Ask the Experts is we have a list of procured questions that we have from our audience. And then as we're live, because we are live in our Facebook group of 8,200 members, we'll actually curate live questions as well. Andy will pull up those live questions. But I got, one of the first questions for you today is when it comes to branding, right? I think there's a lot of talk about branding, getting your company brand out there to deliver it as a value proposition in your personal brand. What can you tell entrepreneurs on how they can best, keep it simple and leverage their personal stories or their corporate stories of their brand's authenticity to connect with their audience?
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So I would say, and you actually kind of answered it there, the best type of content you can make starts with internal research. Think about you, think about your journey, think about your stories, think about things that you value, because that is what people are naturally going to attract to. You are the product, not the industry. And if you are authentic with yourself and you share your stories and your ventures, people are going to be more naturally attracted to that than you just sitting here saying why you're the best in the industry.
No, I love that.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone has a founder story. They have a customer story, and then they have the company story. And I think that that's what's important. The founder, it's about themselves. The company, it's about what they're building, their mission, and their customer story is about the people that they're called to serve. And if you can hit that trifecta and just ensure that you're sharing from the heart, it's pretty interesting. A lot of people try to speak to the intellectual side, and they're always speaking to the head. Just remember, was your favorite professor in college or your favorite teacher in school the person who was really heady? It's no, it was the person who connected with you in the most significant way. Dave, you taught me amazing things. It wasn't like you were a heady sales trainer. You were someone who was invested in my life and wanted to see me grow. And I looked at you as somebody who was a leader, who had great capacity, as a mentor, as somebody who really cared. The best marketing strategy ever is to care. If people know that you care, it changes everything, and it allows them to then step into what we believe is that personal brand relationship, knowing you, liking you, trusting you, so that you can get to the next stage of business.
No, I love that. And it's that simple, right? I think, too often people get in their head and there's this over analysis paralysis. How do I create the perfect video? How do I get myself out there? How do I make everything perfect? And then in the pursuit of perfection, there's the lack of action and it never gets started. And I think that's the biggest thing that's out there. And I think you hit the nail on the head, is really what it comes down to, is just providing value like we are today, right? We're not pitching anything. We're not positioning ourselves as anything else than coming in here and just delivering value. And I think when people go out there and just position their brand that way and they have something to say that resonates with the audience and they're authentic and they project that authenticity that, that goes a long way. And you're never going to please everybody. You're never going to connect with everybody. But if you stay true to your authentic self and stay true to the lane that you are truly that expert in, it's going to attract all the right people that you want to have around you. Because to grow a brand, whether it's personal or a professional brand for your company, you don't need to get everybody. You just need a very small sliver of the market in the right people in the right market.
That's
So
right.
I guess that leads me into my next question too, is in the spirit of keeping it simple, what would you have to say to so many people out there? Because that's the one thing, I've been a victim of it at times, right? Being perfectionists at times. We want to have everything perfect before we start. And then we catch ourselves in a place where we never get started. What do you have to say to people on how they could get started today? Just keep it incredibly simple and what that journey could look like for them over time to eventually get to the place where they want to be for their, their personal brand or their corporate brand.
Yeah, I think the first step ultimately is to embrace the process, because that's actually the beauty of it, is you're learning and acquiring a new skill as you grow. But as you just jump straight into it, it can be as simple as just pulling out your iPhone and talking about the day, or talking about a customer or client experience that you had. Or if you really want to reach your local area, why not interview some principal? Why not interview some mayor and get their thoughts on something that has to do with your industry? So then that way, now you're connecting and cross-pollinating different audiences. But I would genuinely just pull out the phone, talk about the day, talk about the journey. Even if you're sitting in your car after work, just recap and just get those reps in. It's just like the gym, getting those reps in. And then 6 months later, you'll see potentially a lot of followers, definitely a lot of qualified leads, but then you'll have that aesthetic and you'll have those qualified followers continually consuming your content.
Yep.
No, I love that. Love that. And love that analogy too, right? It's like just getting the reps in. It's just like going to the gym. You're not going to get that six pack overnight, but if you show up every single day and you use the right, you're not going to be perfect at first, but if you show up every single day, you put in the reps every single day, eventually after days and weeks, you'll hit that 6 month mark, you'll hit that year mark, and you'll get to your goal. And I think there's no different when it comes to branding and content creation. Yeah. You're not going to be perfect at first, but by putting in the reps, you're going to start to see, hey, where did I misstep and how can I course correct that? Hey, where did I get a win because this video just went viral? And now you can emulate after that success, and you're going to get better over time. Nobody's going to start perfect.
Yeah, one thing that I'll mention, two formats. These are really tactical. So I'll give you guys some tactical advice on exactly what to do, because Nick's so right. Like, part of it is just enjoying and embracing the process. So one of the things that I would recommend is to go on podcasts. There's so many people who are looking for podcast guests. And even if you're just in insurance and you're in Milwaukee, I don't care. Go talk on any podcast about anything, leadership, sales, marketing, cooking. I don't give a crap. Just find a way to start having conversations at scale, because for most people, getting in that form of like unconscious communication where they almost like have a blueprint of what they talk about, but they don't even like realize that they're doing it. It's a real thing. So like knowing your message and being on point, it's just about getting into action. And so go on the shows that get 47 people to listen or 11 people, and you never know, one of those might blow up and you have a great episode, but it's not about that. It's about the process. And I have learned that so many people have so much to say, Dave, they just don't know how to say it.
Yep.
When someone asks you the question, it prompts the ability to play this verbal ping pong with somebody else, just kind of embrace the journey. So that's a really, really good thing that I would recommend. There's like Podmatch, there's all these different, like you just type in like free podcast matching services. And like, they'll just like, they have like these things. You could just be like, yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast. Or you just sign up as like $25 a month. I think even AppSumo had Podmatch or whatever for like $25, and it's like lifetime subscription. And you could just go apply to all these podcasts. I mean, there's no excuse, right? At the end of the day, it's actually really easy. And if someone's questioning their ability, expertise, oh, well, I don't have a press kit yet, and what do I say when I send my bio? It's like, at the end of the day, all those things are just the same excuses of why someone won't show up to the gym.
Yep.
What I say is go to the gym, drive there, and just sit in the parking lot for 5 minutes. Because if you can do that, then you're going to obviously either go in, or you're going to start building the reps to then get the courage to go in. There's something else blocking it. And that's usually the suppression of the voice, or it's the confusion, which is the path to clarity. But I just like, let me put a hot mic in front of somebody and just have a meaningful conversation. The second thing is, if people want to start experiencing viral success, I'll give you a little bit of a little hint on this, on how to do it. For most people, they're like trying to figure out exactly what to do, exactly what to say again. You find viral videos that already exist, that are online, that are not copyrighted. Okay. So like be mindful, play by the rules. But you start doing reaction videos on different types of videos. That's the best way from a repetition standpoint. React to videos that are already going viral. That will put you in the category. And then I say, do one a day. This is just like do the podcast, right? So there's this virality and there's personal branding conversation. But if you just show up and do one reaction video per day in your niche or in your industry, do that and do it every day. And when it starts working really, really well, then start replacing that 7th day and do 6 reaction videos a week and do one of your own pieces. Then do
I absolutely love that. That's brilliant. Yeah. And anything which you can do there too is, we were talking about this the other day, is like, so you can do reaction videos of things that are already relevant, things that have already gone viral. And that's kind of like drifting, right? Anybody that knows NASCAR, what do you do when you're drifting? You got the lead car, and then the car behind it doesn't have to put his foot on the accelerator as much because it's drifting off of the car that's leading the race. Well, you can do the same thing. Find people that are drifting in your niche and then go behind them. And I think some of the things that you can do too is then, to Nick's point, get on podcasts, right? In the course of an hour, without even thinking about it, you're going to make some great moments, because all it takes is a moment to go viral on social media. All it takes is a moment to showcase you as your network. But what you could do is model after other people's moments. Nick was telling about this the other day on a call. Look at other people that are consistently going viral, doing all the right things, and start to study the elements. So now the next time you go into a podcast, it's not just going into a podcast, but you're going in there with a frame of mind to answer questions in a specific way and talk about topics in a specific way, to create sound bites that are similar to sound bites that have already gone viral. So it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, that you're just drifting after the experts that are out there. So I love that. So when it comes to strategy to take that from building an incredible brand through delivering value and now transitioning that to customers, right? Turning those people that, hey, we delivered you to free value over and over and over again, and we're doing the right things. What would you have to say when it comes to turning those into actions, turning those into customers, but not in a way that, hey, you're shoving it down their throat and you're trying to sell, and it feels salesy, but it's natural, it's organic, and it's effective as a way to grow their acquisition strategy?
Yeah. So we teach on a 3-tiered structure anytime we're talking about from content to cash flow. And that principle is, number 1, you have to get attention. Excuse me. Number 1 is attention. Number 2 is leads. Number 3 is sales. Number 1 is attention. Number 2 is leads. Number 3 is sales. If you can't get attention, you will have no leads and sales. I'll say that again, because this is what people miss. If you cannot get attention, you will not get leads and sales. And the world is shifting into this direction more and more and more and more every single day. And be like, oh, well, I've always done it, this way, and now nothing's working. And it's like, dude, I don't know if you realize this, but the digital world is more real than the real world now.
Yep.
Very much so.
And everybody's competing for that attention. Right?
Absolutely.
So competition's going up. So what you were doing before might not be competitive anymore, and you got to up your game.
And you're not just going against, Jake at State Farm. Like, you're going against Pepsi and Red Bull and MTV and the biggest brands in the world, because everyone's competing for the same attention on a, in a 4-inch screen, that's multi-platform, where most people spend the most amount of time. And there's only so much digital real estate that's available. So you have to be able to get attention. If you can't get attention, you're going to be dead in the water. Like, for some people, I think it's just like a very realistic conversation. You need to quadruple what you're spending in marketing and advertising, because if you see this, look at Ryan Reynolds. His companies are now worth $13 billion. That's how much Ryan Reynolds has produced off of a celebrity brand, where he made $200 billion in filming and acting and television. What did he do? He took brands that were just kind of like no-namer brands, or that weren't doing great, like mint.com or like Aviation Gin, and he put his prowess of attention capabilities behind it. When you can break through the market and get attention, meaning that people will actually listen to what you say and your ideas and pay attention to what you're talking about, to the brands that you're promoting, whatever it is. When you can do that successfully, all the other opportunities follow. But you have to find your angle. People have to unniche. If you're in insurance, you have to unniche what you're talking about. There is a value point in talking about your expertise. The problem is the entire market forever has always said, keep niching, keep niching, keep niching. That's how, when we work with Adley, this is what she's masterful at Viralish. She teaches people how to unniche themselves so they're not just talking about the one thing and beating the horse to death. Yep. What they're doing is they're unniching so they can be more culturally relevant. Because look at Gary Vee. What did he do? He was the wine guy, super niched. What did he do? Unniched at that point to business, entrepreneurship that no one was really talking about in 2015, 16 when I was watching him. No one was having that conversation at scale. So he found a blue ocean, unniched, went into it, built a $250 million agency. He obviously can now sell. He can sell his wine stuff. He can sell T-shirts. He sells K-Swiss sneakers. He sells NFTs. He sells conferences. He sells agency services to the biggest brands in the world. Do you see the consequence of being unniched, being culturally relevant, then the ability to trickle down? So this is the thing. If you can't get attention, you can't drive that process, Dave, you're talking about of lead generation and acquisition. It doesn't happen in the same format. So you got to play by the old rules. And if you want to play by the old rules, well, that is just, I think where people are going to go to see dry bones one day. It's just not the world we live in anymore. And we have to adapt.
No, absolutely. I love it. Love it. And now the group that we're in, where obviously have the show in, is the Insurance Syndicate. We have 8,200 entrepreneurs in this group that are in the insurance industry. So I guess when you're dialing this down, this strategy for the insurance industry specifically, what advice would you have for the folks that are listening to this on how they can leverage this to grow their agencies, to sell more policies, to grow their brand, and maybe even, build a brand that's so magical that it attracts the right talent into their culture too, that helps them grow it, right? Because a lot of times it's not just about attracting that external customer, but you're attracting your internal customers, which are your team members that are also going to be a critical component to exploding your brand. I'm
gonna give two answers, then I'm gonna have him respond because I know he wants to, but I have to do a super punch really quick. Go for it. Number one, don't be boring.
Yep.
Because most people within these true expert categories, insurance, lawyers, doctors, accountants, professional services, typically in financial industries, are boring as hell. Now, here's the reality, Dave. When I hang out with them, they're not. But when they turn it on, they turn into Mr. Insurance Man and Mrs. Insurance Woman, and you're destroying your opportunity to grow your business digitally because no one wants to see that stuff.
It's like Ron Burgundy with the teleprompter, right?
Dude,
he gets in front of it, and all of a sudden his personality changes.
Yeah.
So don't be Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, and this is my loving advice. Like truly, this is my loving advice because I get it. I understand it. Most people too who are in that space have spent their careers learning about sales, not branding and marketing. And if you think of marketing slick is marketing, it's not 1992 anymore. It's 2024, and you have to find a different way to do it. So the reality is, this is what I would say: double your marketing budget if you have one, and hire someone to be a fly on the wall. Follow Gary Vee, what he did, which is document, don't create. In fact, I don't want insurance, folks creating content. I want them documenting the process or having someone interview them to extract their genius out of them because they have no idea how to position it in the world. Listen, I've done $500 million in revenue for other people. I've worked with personal brands and public figures.
500 million, folks. These guys know what they're talking about.
I'm telling you, this is so straightforward and simple. If you want the shortcut, if you want to know the truth about it, it's let someone extract. Let someone tell your story for you. Be like a president and let someone write your biography about you, the memoirs about your life. Storytellers, true storytellers, are so much better at extracting the gold and producing and see it like a movie. They can take these characters, the uniqueness of who you are, and put it out into the world in a way that you never thought possible. And that's what I want to encourage people with is like, there are steps to this. There's the step of just go on the podcast and go start having a conversation. There's the next step, which is like, hey, you can start creating content by, maybe creating some viral hooks or doing reaction videos. Number 3, you could just have someone come in and just tell your story for you. The people who will have the expenditure, who are willing to have someone show up and tell their story for them, to be the talent. Let me give you permission, be the talent. If there's any insurance agent who's listening right now who was in college and played sports, when you were the talent and everyone else showed up, and here's your gear, and here's your water bottle, and here's your shoes, be the talent. When you're the talent, then everyone else surrounds you to amplify the uniqueness of your story. And I truly believe that when you let other people do that, who are skilled to do it, it changes everything. I've seen it happen over and over and over again for my whole career, but that would be my loving advice. And now I'll let this guy answer.
I won't be as intense. I will say that people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And like Cavuto just said, they're only going to know how much you care by that extraction, that internal research. Yes, you can be on social media all day and look at your competitors and look at what's going viral. But at the end of the day, what is going to attract your ideal customer, your ideal client avatar, which will then be content into cash, is you and your story. And just like Cavuto said, the fly on the wall, maybe someone filming you in meetings, that's probably 10 times more effective than you sitting here and just forcing a script that is not true to you.
Yeah, and I think the beautiful thing about everything that you guys are saying is, what does everybody have that they're watching this on? Some sort of device, whether you're watching from a laptop, whether you're watching from an iPhone or an Android, right? You got some sort of device. So you already have the access to the mechanism. And you know what everything they're talking about is? It's free. It's free to post. It's free to get on podcasts. It's free to just document your journey as you go. But again, it's part of the process. It's part of the muscle building, because to get to that place where you're reaping all the rewards of having that 6-pack, you're going on stages, you're going to bodybuilding shows, you got to get there first, right? And it's putting in the reps. It's putting in the reps day after day after day after day. And we've seen it happen. And maybe you guys can maybe show a snapshot of somebody that you've worked with in the past, because I know you guys are working with some really, really big names. I know Adley was one of them, but there's countless other influencers there. But a lot of the people that came to you, they weren't as big as they are now when they came to you. So do you have maybe a Cinderella story to share of somebody that came in, they weren't where they wanted to be, started working with you guys, and they implemented XYZ strategy, and then that sent them into the stratosphere? And, you know, it didn't have to be perfect, but it just was a total 180 from where they were and where they got to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, our buddy, Sean Kaplan, who is, he's in the mortgage space. And so very similar to insurance. A lot of like the profiles of the individuals and the general industry are very, very similar when it comes to the content creation process and how we view those professional experts. But Sean came to us, I mean, last year and was just like, hey guys, I really want to take this up to the next level. Like the guys who I follow, like I'm starting to see, like I want to become the #1 guy in personal branding for mortgage lenders. And he was just asking us for advice on how to do it. And now what I love about Sean is he's the type of guy, if you say, hey, you give him advice, he's going to go do it immediately. He's going to execute immediately. He's that type of dude. So we gave him some pointers and he went and executed. And then we did some more different types of things and he went and executed. Then we wrote him some scripts and he went and executed. And so we went from just like being friends with him and just giving him some, hey, try this, and seeing his success ratio. And I mean, I think maybe he had like, 50, 60,000 followers on Instagram. So he was doing this for a while, but he had been creating videos for 14 years and still felt like he was behind. And I think that's a little benefit for everybody else to hear, is like, even the ones who are like churning it out, you're always drafting and trialing someone else. And so it's just a reality, but you just got to get yourself in the game. So Sean, I mean, he just texted me. In fact, I should go grab my phone and show this to you guys. He just texted me last week. He's like, "Dang, I just want to thank you so much, man, for your advice. It's been so spot on. I just got 9 million views last month on my content." And yeah, and I mean, a year ago,
9 million, folks, 9 million.
9 million in 30 days. His subscriber count maybe 400%. He's up to like over 10,000 people now on YouTube. And that's all happened within the last like 45 days. So, there's just these practical foundational elements of what to do and how to do it. And then when we have really good talent that we're working with, that's very easy. But Sean's getting put on the map. I mean, he's going to conference today. He's on his way. He's flying there right now. People are going to know him in that room differently. And the thing that breaks my heart is the people who are really passionate about what they do. Right now, they're in a position of where they're like, man, I'm ready to do whatever. So they go to an industry conference and they show up. And this person walks out on stage that they're introducing. And it's the guy who was behind them last year who's now out in front of them.
Yep.
That's the worst gut feel punch ever, when you know that you have the capabilities and the skill sets and the calling, and you had the intention, you had the heartbeat for it, you had the caring for it, you wanted it so bad, but you didn't do the single step that you should have done, because the only thing that guy did different than you is he took the time to figure out how to show up digitally in a way that people would actually listen to him. And
let's be frank, right? He put in the work and he took action, right? Put in the work and took action, and then showed up every single day with consistency. He didn't say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be doing it this week, and then I'm going to take a week off, or I'm going to do it today and I'm not going to do it tomorrow. But it was every single day. And then the compounded effect of showing up every single day, putting in the right degree of work, and then figuring out, hey, how do I get better along the way? And you don't have to get, again, you're not going to go to 9 million followers overnight, but it's like, how do I get 1% better? And if over the course of a year, you're getting 1% better every single day, the compounded effect of that is going to be freaking enormous by the time that you're at the end of the year.
Yep. Results are a precursor, or results are predicated on resilience, getting through those hard things, and repetition. You got to not only get it done, but you got to push through when it's hard, and then you'll get the result. Just like anything else in life, it's so similar. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a wonderful acquisition op. I mean, if you were the type of person who, Nick was talking about in insurance, if you go interview the local principal at your school, that would be so massive as far as like interest level. And it's something that's so different that no one else is doing. For somebody who's ready for that type of step, go interview other people, other small business owners, other professional services people, and make a Facebook group that is not about insurance, specifically in your town. Don't make it like Jake from State Farms Insurance in, Alpharetta, Georgia. It's like, no, make it something unique that's like based on a value. And it could even be, let's just say it's based off of maybe a faith basis. So faith-based entrepreneurs in Nashville, Tennessee. And what you do is you're the guy who's the facilitator, who's the host, and you interview other people and let them tell their stories about maybe, how God has showed up in their business and what they feel compelled and called to do. And you just become the host. It's amazing how well that is too, how well that works. So I want to just throw that out there, especially if you cannot own your backyard digitally, then you're not going to necessarily reach the success that you want on a grand scale. Prove the concept in your hometown, create a Facebook group or live in-person events, y'all. Like, dudes are crushing it doing like lunch and learns again.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like, it's just like, these things that people weren't doing before. Then what can you do? Hire a videographer, have them show up, record it, take that content, and then publish it digitally. There's so many things, right? Go ahead, Dave. Sorry, I'm getting all excited, man.
No, I love it, man. I love it. I was going to say, we got a lot of people in the group, right? There's obviously some big insurance agents, some big businesses in here. But there's also a lot of small. There's also a lot of one man or one woman operations that are on here that are in a place to grow. And because they're in that place where they're still, relatively smaller and trying to get their momentum, there's not a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to a marketing budget. So what would you say if you had to deliver 2 or 3 freaking great marketing tactics they can do that would give them one of the best returns on investment, whatever those might be, something that they could start today, instantly start generating conversation, start generating activity that could grow their insurance agency, start getting them some instant revenue that then they could reinvest back into their business at a bigger level? What would you say those 2 or 3 tactics might be?
Yeah, I would say 3 pillars of content. So once again, I'm sure we all have phones. Pull out your phone and start recording a video. It's free. But when you do that, there's 3 types of content you can make in just a matter of minutes. One is educational. So educational, everyone can learn something from it, whether they're insurance or not. And it doesn't have to be specifically towards insurance agents. So there's educational, then there's value-based content. The difference between those is the value is very specific towards your ideal client avatar or what you're trying to steward in that video. And then the third one is, like we mentioned, entertainment. Go out and interview the principal, go out and interview the mayor, go out and do a meet and greet or whatever with different business owners and have like fun conversations with them and make that type of content. I would stick to those first 3 pillars, and then you can get into podcast and testimonial and all that other stuff. But pull out your phone, film free videos, and hit those 3 pillars.
Awesome. And I've got a quick question. So I've got this theory of a potential major problem people have with content, and you guys are the experts. So I want to ask you if it's valid or not. I see a lot of people create great content. They put a lot of effort into it. Some of them have like phenomenal videographers, but then they get very little engagement. And I'll backtrack and look at their audience. And a lot of them don't have a large audience. In fact, a lot of their audience are just friends, and they're people that are trying to do the same thing. And I'm curious about audience acquisition, how much of a challenge that is for content creators and how they can actually acquire larger audiences. So when they put in that work, like the content reaches a wider scope of people.
This goes back to my thesis earlier. The best marketing strategy ever is to care. Use Gary Vee's $1.80 strategy. Look it up. I'm talking to the group, not you, Andy. But
I'm making notes I'm here to learn too. So
I want everybody to look it up and go do it. It's dropping your 2 cents 90 times a day based on hashtags or based on places or locations on your phone on Instagram. Because it goes to Dick's point. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So my thesis on business growth is go encourage 5 people a day. And here's where it comes from. This sounds crazy. I'm going to say it one more time. Encourage 5 people a day. Y'all, we're living in a different world. I'm just going to remind you. COVID hit. I was running an agency at that time with elective practitioners. It was like really boutique agency, pretty awesome, doing over $1 million a year. When COVID hit, none of the elective practitioners could practice anymore. So I lost all of my revenue in 2 days, 48 hours. I lost all of my revenue, went to zero. And one of my mentors, I was like, what the hell do I do? I mean, I got like 3 kids. They're in private school. I live in the most affluent area in Denver. Like just overnight, everything disappeared. And he said, listen, man, just go encourage 5 people a day. And I was like, I hate you right now, dude. Like, you got to be freaking kidding me. That's the worst advice. What? Dude, I just told you that I lost all of my revenue. You told me to go encourage 5 people a day. Dude, I did that for 35 days, 45 days. And I did $500,000 in sales in a week. In the middle of COVID, this is April, May-ish in COVID. So let me just tell you the power of being present. Here's the reality, and this is the skill training for me. Encouraging people didn't change them. In fact, no one who I encouraged bought anything. It changed me. It allowed me to get into a position of service. So now I wasn't, hey, come buy my crap. I was in the format of encouragement and being somebody who was worth following and reaching out to people and saying, hey, man, I don't know why. I just feel led to reach out to you today and just say, you're doing so much better than you think you are. Like, I just want you to know I'm here for you. I'm a pillar for you. I'm cheering for you. Those people didn't even buy, but it changed me. So when people came to me, it shifted everything. So I think intention is a really big part of this as well, and about positioning ourselves properly. One last thing that I'll say around content creation for people who don't have big budgets. The reaction videos, that's an easy one. The second one is use ChatGPT. Literally go to ChatGPT and say, hey, this is what I do, and I don't want to be boring, and tell me what types of videos I can create. So it's like super, super simple. You could type in GPTs if, it's $20. Hopefully someone can afford that if they're in a tight spot. But you go to that viral hook creation, type in anything that you want to be talking about. And here's the thing, if you're going to have pillars of content, have 3 that are personal, 3 that are professional. This is how I got people over 1 billion views digitally. This is part of the core construct of that framework, which is 3 things personally, 3 things professionally. What are the 3 things you care about in your personal life? Most people, faith, family, and fitness. Great, easy. What are the 3 things that you care about professionally? For me, attention, leads, and sales. So I could go to ChatGPT and I could go to one of those little viral hook creators, and I could just say, hey, I want you to create me viral hooks about lead generation that's not boring, that leads with empathy and heart. And it will give me the script. Now watch, here's the ninja move. You can watch this on replay. So I'm going to tell you the whole thing. Then what you do is you copy whatever the script is that it creates, and you go to your computer or your phone. You can get either one. These are free. You go to the teleprompter app and paste it. And then hit go and press record. And there you have your content. That's as simple as it can be. Now, some people might say, oh, 3 steps, that's too much. So wait, what do I do again? Go to ChatGPT. Give it 3 personal and 3 professional, 3 personal, 3 professional topics, types of content you want to create. and have it create you scripts for that using a viral script creator as a GPT. This is so simple. This is just natural things that I do every day, or that I've thought about, or that
it just helps take that over analysis paralysis out of it, because you put it in there and don't leave it as is, but do your tweaks to it once it delivers the end result. But it's a real great way to get started. I use ChatGPT all the time.
And if you really want a magic secret weapon, I'll give you one more, Dave, because I love you.
All right.
ChatGPT is pretty good at doing a lot of large, analysis and contextual analysis. And I love the GPTs that it has. But if you want the best copywriting and the best spoken word type of content, use Claude AI. It's way better. Absolutely night and day difference.
You said that's Claude AI?
Yeah, CLAUDE, Claude.ai. Same thing's like $20 a month. But that's whatever I'm writing sales pages, landing pages, writing ad copy, or ideating on viral script creation. I kind of look as ChatGPT as like a very Swiss Army knife. That thing's like a butcher's blade. It's totally different. So,
no, I love that. And this is what I love about conversations like this, too, because my brain gets spinning too. And I think back when I started my insurance agency, like I didn't have a budget, right? Like I was broke and I was barely had enough capital to survive maybe a couple months, and I had to hit revenue right away. So I didn't have time to think. I didn't have time to overthink. I just had to take action and act like somebody was taking it away from me 24/7, because that was my reality. So we were positioned right across from a DMV and just started pulling people out of line. So then I'm thinking about what Nick's saying, in this day, because this was back, like 15 years ago, right? Before content is the place that it's at. Imagine if you went to your local DMV and started interviewing people. And now positioning yourself in a line of people as an expert, right? Who do people want to do business with? Other people that are doing good, that are experts, right? So now you're creating content while you're making relationships with people, while they're standing in line at the DMV, that are probably more than likely going to give you their phone number to quote their auto insurance or their home insurance. And you can figure out different scenarios to do that. Go to open houses with realtors, interview all the people that are there about their shopping experience, what the market is like. And guess what those people are? They're all people in the next probably 30 days that are going to buy homes. And what do they need when they buy homes? Well, they need to get insurance. But you're creating content interacting with those people at the same time you're building relationships with those people that are going to need your product and service. So it almost hits the bell curve when you're waiting for that influx of leads to come in. Well, you can generate leads and create content of you generating leads at the same time and get some instant traction and momentum.
Totally, man. Yeah, I think the first person listening to this, they will absolutely go viral. Do this 100 times. Interview people with a camera, like people do the street interviews, and do it when people are going in or coming out of the DMV. You absolutely win. Absolutely. You will absolutely dominate by asking them hilarious questions, very direct questions, very serious questions. Do all of the above.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right. So now we're obviously in this new era, right, with AI. So technology is rapidly advancing. What are some, like, when we talk about getting to that next level of marketing, what are some next level marketing strategies you guys are focusing on in this kind of new digital world, this new AI driven world, that are taking things kind of next level to people that maybe already have a little bit of momentum in their life right now when it comes to personal branding, corporate branding, and digital marketing?
Yeah, I know Kavito will add a lot on this because he's like an AI nerd right now. But one thing that we really like to do is, we talked about like reaction videos and competitor videos. At the end of the day, yes, we try to preach, okay, internal research, your journey, et cetera, but it is very smart to look externally and look at what everyone else is doing. We literally will go through competitors' videos when we work with high performing clients, and we will take those transcripts of the videos and throw those into ChatGPT, but then structure the prompt in a way where it's like, if Dave likes fitness, or if Dave is in this location, and we start adding all those variables in it. That is a really, really unique strategy that we've used to kind of twist it, take what's working, but twist it, and then put your industry, your expertise into it. It's like, don't reinvent the wheel, just align it with your path.
Love that. Love that. And then while we're waiting for Nick to come back to maybe riff on that question too, I'll hit you with another one. So we're talking about a lot of organic strategy here, right? But what about somebody that maybe does have a budget, or somebody that's trying to post ads right now? I think the Facebook and the Instagram, the TikTok algorithm can be this elusive thing it very easily, if you don't do it right, you could be burning 300 a day, burning 500 a day because you're not getting it dialed in the way you need to dial it in. You're not getting the right audiences. What would you have to say some, next level strategy when it comes to people that want to have effective content creation through paid media, specifically on, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and those platforms?
Yeah, really good question. When we work with our partners, we always first start with organic content because, as we said, it's attention, leads, and then sales. The organic content is the top of funnel. So if you're thinking about paid media, first, I would focus on the organic. However, if it's someone with a budget, I can only imagine they're already doing organic content. And then what I would do once again is the same structure that you're doing the organic content, structure the paid media. We have seen literally videos where we set up like a podcast and Kavuto will prompt me a question about our agency and I answer it in such a way. And that has printed way more than just really trying to force a script. So that's one strategy that you can do to really focus on that instead of, once again, sitting here and saying like, I'm Dave, I'm the best, like buy from me. No, you want to take that more authentic route, but also pick what's kind of working at the same time.
Oh, love that. Love that.
When you get into paid marketing, I know that some of that can get a bit complex for people that maybe don't have the experience with it. When we start to talk about A/B testing, when we start talking about trying to measure ROAS and things like that, at what point should somebody say, hey, maybe it's better for me to hire somebody, get a consultant, find somebody to work with versus try to figure out the paid marketing themselves? Like, is everybody suited to do paid marketing, or should people be outsourcing, or is there a break there?
Yeah, I mean, try doing brain surgery on yourself. That's gonna be pretty damn hard, right? Yep. So, I mean, these things have gotten so complicated, and that's where I really cut my teeth. I ran my first Facebook ad in 2009. I mean, they launched in the summer of 2008. So I've been in the digital space for digital advertising for really my whole career, and trained multi-billion-dollar companies on how to do this at scale. The process of digital advertising is very simple, but the tactics of how to do it effectively when you have to countermeasure is what's hard. So the reality is, make a really damn good video and send it out to as many people as possible within a general or categorical outline. From there, retarget the crap out of it with multiple different variations of content and of offers and of different things. And then have your cost per acquisition, obviously, as at the finish line. It's the easiest way I can explain it. It's like get a bunch of views, retarget them, and then give them something that they can't refuse as a next step. Very oversimplified, but it is truly the basis or the core thesis of it. That's the marketing degree in 35 seconds.
Love that. Love that.
It's so simple. And by the way, in retargeting, it's 70% of the money is made there. So most people, again, don't know that reality. So they're like, well, I put $50 on a boosted post on my Instagram and nothing happened. It's like, dude, you're buying data.
Yep.
This is the mindset shift. Like, when you're buying ads, you're buying data, and it's going to tell you if it's true. So the hardest part sometimes I have to tell people is like, the reason why you're not getting the returns on an advertising perspective is what you want is because everything you're doing sucks.
Yep.
And I love you, but I have to be honest with you if you want my help. It's like a doctor saying, I'm sorry, but you're sick. You have this thing. I hate to tell you that, but it's reality. It's the same type of thing. It's like when you're buying data, it's just going to tell you the reflection of the market and how they feel about it. So yeah, in digital advertising, it's very much that way. And yeah, I think hopefully I answered the question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, you guys have been great. And then Nick, this is for Nick Kavuto, because your counterpart there, Nick, was saying that you might have some very interesting thoughts on this with how dialed are you on this world. But we had the question earlier that Nick answered on how AI and advanced technology is kind of revolutionizing the marketing space right now, and maybe what key ways, like 2 or 3 key ways people can leverage advanced technology like that maybe already have some momentum, that are already investing, and they're trying to take their lead generation and their content game to the next level. How can they use some of the best, most innovative strategies available in the market today?
Yeah. Well, obviously with AI, specifically around chat, like the functions of copywriting and contextual concepts around communication are so explosive at scale right now. I think that's absolutely huge. I think that, automating different things around processes, this is a huge thing. Like some people will look at it and just be like, well, I just it can make me better content, online, or what do I even ask ChatGPT? It could write me a sales page, but I don't need a sales page. It's like, no, it can literally streamline and eliminate like 40 people that you need to hire on your team. And so that's part of the concept is like, I would rather have an army of VAs who are well empowered with SOPs, processes, and AI than I would to like scale a massive organization if I was sitting in the shoes of the people who are here today. Because things like cold email still work extremely well. You just have to be really, really good. You have to be a technician of the craft. Recruiting, personal brand content is so huge if you want to recruit amazing talent. And then I'm sure, Dave, you've got ideas around like how to plug in different systems for helping people get, the support that they need. I just look at like the value of certain elements around skill can be replaced with streamlined processes and having like a human approval versus human lifting. Like the AI is doing so much lifting for people, but it's like really automating processes without losing the human touch is an important aspect.
And I love where you're going with that too, because one of the things that I like to recommend to people to do is a time audit of their day. No matter what they're doing, what roles and responsibilities you have in your business, start to be very deliberate about on a daily basis, documenting by the hour what you're doing, and then reflect on that by the end of the week. And then what you'll realize there's a lot of things. I like to tell people, hey, on the left side column, just take a piece of paper, draw a column down it, and on the left of it, put down all the things that are far below your pay grade. What do I mean by that, far below in your pay grade? Well, if you're making, let's say 200,000 a year, and then let's say for round numbers sake, you're working 2,000 hours a year full time, you're making $100 an hour. If you're making 400,000 a year, you're making $200 an hour. What are the things that you're doing are far below your pay grade that you can outsource, or to Nick's point, you can automate, because there's so much powerful technology, so many powerful tools that have been created out there that you might be able to invest in a software tool one time or a small monthly fee that can take over a lot of that heavy lifting on the things that you shouldn't be doing. And then what are the things that you're doing that maybe you're not passionate about? And could you get somebody else on the team to do those things? Because those are typically where I see the bottleneck is you're putting your time and resources and expertise. You're kind of putting under the wayside by working on things you shouldn't be. And then anytime you're working on something you're not necessarily super thrilled or excited, you're going to find that procrastination is popping up in your future more times than not. So the best way to deal with that, to me, if you can, delegate that to somebody and stick in your lane where you're most excited, you're most passionate, and you can operate and find, great tool. That's why we started Jarvee for the hiring process. That takes AI, completely automates your hiring process through one-way video interviews, automated assessments, automated role-playing and training. We completely addressed the lack of processes and SOPs, the lack of training, and the lack of hiring that was going on in organizations through one software tool that it now allows one person to do the job of a team of 7. Like, how powerful is that? And those tools exist out there when it comes to marketing, that you can get one tool that can maybe give you a team of 7, more metaphorically speaking here, and allow you to do a lot more with less.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna scale processes, I would say like find the way that you would do them as the entrepreneur. If you don't have a blueprint, like using resources, templates, systems, find something that you align with, and then do it to the best of your capability. But I'm a firm believer in solve the problem once. So like if it takes 40 hours to solve one problem, let's just say it seems pretty extreme. I would rather do that than deal with it for the next 4 years. It's just focus on it and solve the damn issue, and then have the things in place in order to get to the next level. And in the scaling process, of course, it's like you scale whatever's broken. And so I don't want to amplify or multiply dis-ease in my organization or in my culture. I want to take each individual step one at a time and solve it, and then get to the next thing.
One thing I'm curious about while we have you guys, I got to see Dave implement something in one of his companies where it was direct mail with a QR code, but the QR code takes the customer to a landing page that's been customized for them. So it has their image, it has their information. It's a much more personalized experience. And I'm very curious in the digital marketing world, if there are any strategies being used today where it's like hyper personal, it makes somebody feel absolutely like you're a one-to-one marketer to them, even if it's automated, even if it's at scale or with AI. Is there anything being done to that level where it's hyper specific to the customer?
Yeah, only hyper specific things that actually work. It's like scaling the unscalable. That's the way you want to think about it, because that's true human interaction where somebody really cares. I love that these companies have like handwritten cards, and then you like see the machines and it like literally has a pen and it's like, so marketers ruin everything. Like, let's not forget that they kind of bastardize a lot of things. But one of the things that I've noticed is, that's why I love saying encourage 5 people a day, is because that will never go out of style, and that will never be able to be inauthentic or ingenuine or lack a genuine response from someone. And so being a good human is always the greatest strategy when in a personal brand when you're doing outreach. So I think that's huge. I think that, there's on the innovative angle, there's a lot of things that eventually, like the more the world becomes AI, the less that people will value it, and the more they'll revalue human interaction. So there's always the zig and zag. It's a great book written by Marty Neunemeyer, one of my favorite experts on branding. It's called Zigzag. And it's like when the market zigs, you got to zag. So I'm watching everyone get like lean super, super hard into like AI and different things for content. And I'm like, I just want to go be with people. Like not a lot of people are doing live mastermind meetups anymore, when in 2019, that was like literally, you couldn't get away from it online. And now it's not happening that much. People are doing lunch and learns again in industries. Go back to strategies that worked 10, 15 years ago, and then record and capture those things and then redistribute them digitally. Document, don't create. So I don't think that there's like massive things that I would recommend that are going to be like so scalable that it's like you just don't ever have to touch it, because I just don't believe in that. But I do believe in ideas of like getting people together and getting the sales cycle done way earlier when it comes to building relationship and connection. One of the things that I like to do is I like to invite people to brainstorming sessions. And I'm not going to give away all the secret sauce on how I do that, but I'll give you enough so that you see the breadcrumbs, which is inviting people to brainstorming sessions. If you think about that concept, inviting them to a round table, why don't you pull up a chair and come spend some time with us in the digital world, in the physical world. It's very valuable, because again, what's the goal? Attention. You get the most amount of attention from somebody when you're sitting across from them, whether one-on-one or in a group. And that's where the most depth happens as well. So when the world goes to AI and we get more and more technology driven, I want to just make sure that people don't miss out on the opportunity that now people are starving for everything else.
Absolutely. Love that. So powerful.
Awesome.
And we actually got another question here that came up in the group. So live question from Ben Butcher. He, what advice, he basically piggybacked on our other idea that we talked about there, filming at places like the DMV. And what he said was, any advice on how to approach an interview at places like similar to the DMV?
I will answer this one because we work with a lot of brands as well that have products, and we do street interviews, and I'm usually the one, I don't mind it, but I'm the one that has to go out and do all those. In fact, I had to do some on Broadway here in Nashville, and that was really interesting. But when we do those, because transparently, I do them myself, we just go up to people that we believe would probably be really good, whether it's personality or they'll accept it and have a decent answer. And we'll just be like, hey, we're making a quick video for social media. Would you love to be a part of it? When we're giving away stuff, obviously that's a little different. Like, hey, we're giving away $5 to be in this video. But it's just simply coming up to someone and being transparent. If they say no, maybe you can be like, hey, but it's this, like, check it out, check out my Instagram. And maybe they'll change their thought process. But just simply go up to them and say, hey, making a video for social media. Would love to have you a part of it. What are your thoughts? And just seeing where the conversation goes from there. But I will say, I went on Broadway and I had to interview people. I probably got 20 rejections just to get 5 videos. And for me, like, I've been making content for years. that was a growth opportunity for me to just literally throw myself on the street around a bunch of crazy people, fun people, and try to get them to do an interview. So,
no, I love that. Love that. And one of the things that I'm hearing from you there too is like you're doing that interview and you said the potential of giveaways. Well, the one thing for insurance that they can't do is they can't do a giveaway for a quote, right? So it violates some compliance. But what you could do is you could go to a DMV, you could go to an area that has your ideal customers, right? You could go to an open house and do a giveaway for an interview, right? So you do a giveaway for an interview that creates your free content for you. But what do people naturally have? They have the law that's built inside of them is the need to reciprocate. So if you gave them something, right, you gave them some value by being a part of like your interview, but you also gave them that free gift for the interview. Now, when you ask them maybe for their contact information, you can follow up and solve that problem for you as the expert. How many people are going to probably say no to that? Probably a very low degree. So now if you interview 10 people in a day, maybe you interview 20 people in a day, that doesn't take you all that long. You just generated 10 to 20 different proposals for the future that you can follow up with your sales team. They're all going to have high level of interest. They're going to know, like, and trust you because they just interviewed with you. And I mean, I look at that, you could be like shooting fish in a barrel at that point.
Yeah. Two things with that is if you make content about it and that individual follows you, they most likely will put it on their page because they're in the video and now all their followers know who you are. And another thing too is if you want to be a little bit more fun with it and go the entertainment route, maybe you do give away $5. Well, what I would do is I would think of some pretty generic questions in your industry or about your geographical location and do trivia. Go up to someone and be like, if you can answer these 3 questions, I'll give you $10. And maybe the last one's a little more tricky or a little more about your industry. And what it does is it shows your personality, it shows your credibility, but ultimately your authority in the industry.
I love that. And then what you could do is to give them their $10 gift card is you have to text it to them, which requires them to give you your cell phone number, which you have a guaranteed 100% hit rate on getting every single person's cell phone number to follow up with.
Exactly.
Like, look at that. So if you're looking to grow your agency, you can't afford marketing, pick up your freaking iPhone, get your buddy to follow you out there, start interviewing people at a DMV, and you could probably walk away if you worked hard enough at it with 50 leads that you could work that following week. And you just got to do that for a couple hours a week and get you an incredible pipeline.
Easy.
There's a funny saying, and it says, if you can make a woman laugh, then you can kiss her. This is really funny. So this is also true because humor is so powerful. And I think again, in a lot of serious industries, you miss the power of having fun and being light and having levity in what you're doing. So if I was doing this, I would get like a t-shirt made that says defund the DMV. I would ask people why, like, hey, you're coming to DMV today. Like, we're asking people why they hate the DMV so much, or something. Go off an angle that already exists. What do you think your estimated time is going to be today? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And you're just like messing with them and having fun. Then you get into the conversation of like, you like bridge it. You find a way to bridge it. But if you could do something that's really funny, people are much more likely to.
Oh, for sure.
Because
or somebody represents Allstate, right? Dressed up as the mayhem guy and do the interview dressed up as a really good looking mayhem guy. Different things like that, different angles that'll grab. Because what does that grab? That grabs attention, which is probably the most valuable currency on the planet. What we just heard here from Nick and Nick this entire hour, attention, attention, attention. And there's so many, and it's fun too, because what it does is I think it brings brevity to it and makes it just so much more fun to operate, because who doesn't like doing these sort of things like that and getting creative? So I think that's the way we're all born, is being creative beings, and we can come up with a totally different dynamic to grow our businesses that are just a lot more fun to do it. And I know we're almost there, wrapping up our hour. I mean, I just wanted to, thank you guys so freaking much, because the value you delivered today has just been incredible. And, one thing I wanted to just, ask you guys, for anybody that maybe is in that place that needs help, because my purview on when you're working with somebody like you got to be careful who you work with. And that's why when we come onto these shows, we vet true experts. We know are getting results for people. We know are knocking it out of the park for people. And when you're when you hire the right employee, when you hire the right expert, great employees don't cost money, right? Because they're revenue producers. Great experts that are assisting you, right? Great ones, not the wrong ones, but great ones, they don't cost money either, Because what they're going to do, especially, and you don't have to use them forever, but especially in the beginning, they can help you get through all the missteps that are costing you the lack of attention, that are costing you money, that are costing you time. And when you add up the compounded effect of that, and then the lost opportunity cost of putting your focus on something that's not necessarily getting the traction right away, to the maybe the small dollar amount somebody like Nick and Nick would charge to help you do it, bringing in years and years since 2009, $500 million in ads. That's incredible to come in and take their expertise and skip all of that. So I guess tell the audience, like, how can they follow you guys? How can they work? How can they work with you guys if they're interested in doing that?
Yeah, man. Well, first, to follow us, just look up our names. We're pretty much everywhere on social media, and you'll find us by our names for sure. And a quick Google search. We both hang out on Instagram a lot and TikTok and Facebook, whatever. Wherever you are, we are as well. So that's the cool thing. And if people want to work with us, yeah, I think just send us a message digitally, and just reach out. We're in a beautiful place of where we're doing really meaningful things with really awesome people, and our hands are open. Like, this is just how we've chosen to build our businesses. Is we don't chase things. We're gardeners. We're not gunslingers when it comes to our own process. We do make other people a lot of money through the process of content creation and getting their message out into the world. But we just decided to build a garden, to build a table, and to invite people into it. And we take those opportunities as they come. And we're grateful that we have an incredible network, Dave, people like you, who know us, who like us, who trust us, who we've had a history for, gosh, I mean, I'm looking at 20 years now, man. It's I met you when I was 16, man. And it was incredible. So we have a lot of people who are in our lives who have been just great confidants and supporters. So yeah, reach out, have a conversation, The one last thing I'll say is, like, we're really attached to the meaning of the people that we're working with and why they want to get to the next thing. We've both run really successful agencies. We've had a lot of fun building a lot of things, but we're in that, we're young guys, but we're in that do things for meaning more than money. We've already graduated because we've already had a lot of success. And so we want to align with people who see the world the same way, who are willing to play the long game and win, but who are absolute competitors. They're like, tenacious, and they want to win. And it's that grace and grit. There's a little bit of a duality there. So that's our heartbeat. Reach out and say what's up.
No, I love that. Love that, guys. And I just want to echo that too. The reason why we invited these guys on there, because what this show is all about, we're not here like a lot of shows and a lot of webinars and things that are out there to just trying to pitch you after thing after thing after thing. That's actually what inspired us to start this show, is just come in, bring in vetted experts. I've been blessed to build an incredible network with incredible people that are on that same frequency, right? So I want to bring those same people on the same frequency as us that just want to come in and serve. It's not a pitch fest. It's not shoving something down your throat every 5 seconds, but it's just being there, adding value. I know that's where I always feel the best. That's where my heart is. And I know that's where these guys' hearts is too, and exactly why we brought them on the show. But I definitely would have been remiss if I didn't give them an opportunity to give their contact information out there for those that do want to work with them. But these guys are the real deal. I've been through marketing agency after marketing agency that promised the world that, delivered maybe a tenth of that, if that. Like, these guys operate different, and they're just a wealth of knowledge, and just super grateful to have you guys here.
Thank you,
Thank
Dave.
you so much.
And thanks, Andy. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So there you have it, Insurance Syndicate, and anybody that's watching outside of the group. Here is another episode of Ask the Experts. It is July 11th, and we have just wrapped up episode number 2. Stay tuned next week at the same day, same time, where we're going to be bringing another expert your way to answer your questions live and deliver value to you in your world. Until then, we'll see you next week.